Hello everyone. Now you will hear a brief summary of the movie Shallow Hal. Enjoy watching. A doctor informs a distressed woman that her husband, the Reverend, has only a couple of minutes left to live. She sends her chubby son Hal to say goodbye to his father, but he's already been heavily dosed with morphine, so he's talking nonsense. Have you seen the cowboy? He gave me a singing coin in Pudding Town. The dying man gives the child a final piece of advice about dissatisfaction with second-rate women. Like his mom. For the Lord to be pleased, his chosen one must have a perfect backside and firm breasts. The chubby boy vowed to fulfill his father's last wish. Years passed, and now the male only courts the young and juicy ones. Well, at least he tries. He went hunting with Mauricio, a tall handsome guy just like himself. By the way, he knows his worth, and recently he dumped a beauty just because her second toe was longer than her big toe. Hal boasts that he's dating his sultry neighbor Jill. Although in reality, they only had one date, and the next time they met, she was already trying to get rid of him. The next day, another blow of fate awaited him. He didn't get the long-awaited promotion. His colleagues can't understand where Hal gets such high standards for the appearance of girls. He himself is far from a movie star. In the elevator, our hero encounters the famous speaker and business coach, Tony Robbins. They get stuck for many hours. And Hal shares with him the story of his life and relationships with girls. Tony is shocked by his companion's pickiness. Even in acknowledged beauties he sees flaws. Therefore, he gives Hal the suggestion to see, first and foremost, the beauty of a person's inner world, their soul. Moreover, this will allow him to date real beauties. The hypnosis was successful. When the guy steps out into the fresh air, he immediately starts flirting with a pretty blonde, to the real version of whom he wouldn't have even approached. In the taxi, Hal assumes that the girl works as a model. This amuses her but makes the driver wary. In the end, he decides to take her phone number, and they both can't believe that they are interested in each other. Hal shares with a friend the events that happened to him today. And Mauricio gets annoyed with Walt, the duck with a split spine, who, nevertheless, is always in the spotlight. Afterwards, Hal skillfully dances around three stunning beauties, whom Mauricio refers to as nothing less than nightmarish monsters. He decides to save his partner in romantic affairs from, quote, a herd of raging bison. Well, Hal is ready to share with him. The main thing is that the redhead stays with him. In the morning, Hal tagged along with a full-figured lady who in his eyes looks like a reed, but he makes an unfortunate joke about the sales she chose in the lingerie department. The man apologizes and promises to make amends by inviting the girl to lunch. Rosemary says she intends to join the Peace Corps, and then orders a portion of food that is excessive for her size. She takes the compliment about her figure as a vulgar joke. Unexpectedly, the metal chair flattens under Rosemary's weight, and she struggles to get back on her feet. Seeing the couple, a man jokes that there's no food left in the cafe. Hal is sure that this is a jab at him, so he retorts by boasting about his beautiful companion. She gives the leftover food to two homeless people. Hal asks the girl for her phone number, and she doesn't even understand why. Apparently, something like this. This is happening to her for the first time. Before saying goodbye, it turns out that Rosie is the daughter of Mr. Shanahan, the president of the company where he works. Hal plans to introduce Mauricio to Rosemary. He is amazed at how such a beauty can have such a wonderful character and sharp mind. The same girl with the long finger drives up to them and invites the short, chubby guy to a Beatles concert. But he is completely turned off by the sight of her finger. And the appearance of his friend's girlfriend only makes him laugh. Rosemary works for free at the hospital and decides to introduce Hal to her little patients. The cheerful guy easily finds common ground with the children and plays a game with them. Kisses. Rosemary thanks him for not being scared and treating them like regular kids. The guy doesn't understand why she says that. Hal invites the girl over to his place. She feels shy and awkward. And after a couple of compliments, she asks her companion to stop saying that she's beautiful and not fat. Stop saying that I'm a beautiful girl and that I'm not fat, okay? It makes me feel uncomfortable. Alas, she doesn't believe in Hal's sincerity. But the next day, she comes to him with apologies. During the date, Hal experiences the consequences of his ignorance. And the vacationers fully appreciated it when Rosemary jumped into the pool with a cannonball splash. Rosemary brought Hal to meet her parents. As always, he misses the mark with a compliment.
It's clear where Rosemary got that figure from.
During dinner, Hal shares with his potential father-in-law his work ideas and he suggests presenting them to the board of directors. He also asks an employee to stop pretending that he likes Rosemary, as if to say he has already appreciated his cleverness and ambition to rise to the top, but Hal is unfazed. He thinks that the father is just too much, excessive demands on his daughter. And now he understands where the girl gets so many complexes from. The male finally lured the girl into his quarters. Rosie is initially shy about showing her body, but gaining confidence, she throws mega panties at Hal. He is amazed by such a transformation of underwear. The night was a success, and neighbor Jill's sense of ownership flares up and she invites Hal over, but he turns her down. Hal successfully presents to the board, and the boss makes him his partner. Colleagues meet Hal's girlfriend, and as she leaves, she takes a small piece of cake. Upon learning the girlfriend's last name, they assume that crafty Hal is only putting up with the fat girl to get closer to the boss. At the gym, Mauricio once again persuades his friend to raise his standards and find someone more attractive. He also believes that Hal is dating Rosemary only for career advancement. The couple plans a trip together with Walt and his girlfriend, who turns out to be Tanya, a woman from the hospital where Rosemary works. For a trip to the public restroom, Walt prudently puts on disposable gloves. And in the car, we see what Tanya actually looks like. In reality, she is a dry old hag. The girl found out that the disabled man had just sold his successful company, and she wouldn't mind taking a piece of the financial pie. At the local club, Walt, as always, lights up the dance floor. There, Rosemary meets her friends from the Peace Corps, and one of the handsome guys, Ralph, was her boyfriend. Meanwhile, Mauricio finds Tony Robbins and complains that because of his suggestions, his friend is now hanging out with only unattractive women. And he begs the writer to return his friend to his former state. He convinces him to do it by claiming that otherwise, Hal will lose his job. But in reality, Hal has a different problem. Rosemary invites him along, her old acquaintance, who helps the residents of some third world country. The chubby guy is jealous, but the girl argues that Hal is the only one in the world who finds Ralph attractive. This time, the girl's weight is too much even for the sturdy couch. When Hal stepped away to discuss this issue with the manager, Mauricio called him and said a phrase that lifted from the chubby guy. All the charm. Love is blind, you might even fall for a goat. And the girl manager instantly turned into a huge transvestite. Girl, he's only in the soul. Returning to the hall, Hal doesn't understand why some elephant is devouring his girlfriend's food. He was about to start a scandal, but Mauricio, who arrived, grabs him and reveals the whole truth. Hal, of course, doesn't believe him. But then he meets a nosy, toothy girl, with whom, as it turned out, he was riding in a taxi. Hal is furious. He was completely satisfied with how everything was going for him, and he didn't care how other people reacted to Rosemary. But Mauricio took away this beautiful illusion from him. Hey, I really let you down, huh? Hal wants to meet the hypnotist again and regain the ability to see the soul. In the meantime, he has to avoid Rosemary, otherwise, supposedly, once he sees her, this horror, he won't be able to unsee it. When the girl tries to enter the room, Hal applies eye ointment and lies that he has infectious conjunctivitis, so it's better not to get close to him. At work, the boss is curious why his daughter hasn't been able to reach him for 2 days. Hal excuses himself by saying he's swamped with work. Time passes, and arranging a meeting with Robin still doesn't work out. A frustrated Rosemary calls to find out why Hal is avoiding her, but doesn't get a clear answer. Once again, Jill approaches the neighbor and invites him to dinner. He reluctantly agrees, but only to finally set things straight. At that moment, the entire Shanahan family comes to dine at that very restaurant. And Rosemary sees Jill holding Hal's hand. The beauty makes one last attempt to get the neighbor into bed, but Hal makes the wise decision to settle down. Approaching the payphone, Hal didn't recognize his beloved.
Hello. Hello!
Such ignorance wounds the girl, and when he immediately calls her and suggests meeting up, she takes it as mockery. 5 days later, Master Shanahan demands that Hal stay away from his daughter and regrets having trusted him earlier. He then reveals that Rosemary has gotten back together with Ralph, and they leave with the Peace Corps unit. Hoping to catch Rosemary, Hal heads to the hospital. There he meets one of the girls he visited earlier. It turns out she looks completely different from how he remembered, because Rosemary helps the children in the burn unit. A friend approaches our hero and confesses to him why he has such a strange attitude towards women. The thing is, he himself has one of the Yangs, a real rudimentary tail, which he can even wag like a puppy. At the Peace Corps building, Hal meets a fat Hawaiian named Lee Boy, a colleague of Ralph and Rosemary. Then Ralph himself appears, a sickly man with big ears suffering from psoriasis. Hal blesses him and Rosemary as a couple, but the sickly man says it's not true and he and the girl are not together. The Fantastic Four drive up to Rosemary's house. Entering the house, Hal mistakes the plump maid for his beloved and passionately kisses her. Mrs. Shanahan approaches and asks him not to disturb Hal's work and leads him to the party dedicated to Rosemary's departure. As we can see, the daughter really takes after her mother in figure. Hal quickly finds Rosie and admits that he is a tactless idiot, but at the same time he is madly in love with her. It turns out the girl is leaving for the middle of nowhere for a whole 14 months. Hal can't wait that long, so he goes with her. It's a pity though that the little guy couldn't lift his chosen one in his arms, so Rosie takes the situation into her own hands. A joyful crowd sees off the lovers, who leave together for the airport. Meanwhile, Mauricio makes a move on a woman who is simply crazy about puppies.